Welcome to another video. In this video, we want to continue with algebra and we want to look at word problems. So here are a few tips about word problems. So firstly, you must know that if you have an unknown value, you have to mark it X. If you have another different unknown value, you would mark it Y. And if you do by any chance have a third different unknown value, you would mark it Z, and make sure that every unknown value has a different letter mark to it. But generally what you want to do is that you want to write the other information that they give you in terms of X. So let's say, for example, they tell you that John is twice Mary's age. So in that sentence, I do not know what John's age is, but the person's age who I need to figure out is actually Mary's age, because we know that John is twice Mary's age. So if I knew what Mary's age was, then I will be able to get John's age. So I'll make it X for Mary's age and I'll make it 2X for John's age. So that's what we mean. You have to make the unknown X, and then you want to write the other information in terms of X. Then you want to somehow find the rest of the information that will relate the two information that you have here to build an equation. So maybe, for example, they tell you that the sum of John's age and Mary's age is, let's say, 12. So then this forms an equation, because the sum of means that I have to add their ages, and these are their ages, and when you add them they give you 12, so equal to 12. Now I'm going to get 3x is equals to 12. So then Mary's age will be 4, while John's age will be 2 times 4, which is 8. You see that? So that's how you will be solving word problems. Just make sure that you also remember the formula for speed. We have speed that can be measured in meters per second or kilometers per hour is equals to distance over time. This can come in handy a lot more times. So we know that if you want to work out speed, you need to take the distance and you need to divide it by the time. If you want to work out the time, you need to take the distance and divide it by the speed. If you need to work out the distance, you take the speed and you multiply it by the time. So let's just get into it, guys, and let's practice these questions over here, starting with question number 1. They say here 2 jets are flying towards each other from airports that are 1,200 kilometers apart. One jet is flying at 250 kilometers per hour and the other jet is flying at 350 kilometers per hour. So let's already try to draw a story for ourselves. On one end, let's say I have jet 1 is going to fly to the right to collide or maybe pass the other jet over here, which is jet 2. Okay, jet 2. Say this one is moving at 250 kilometers per hour. Let's make it dot. And say this is moving at 350 kilometers per hour, like that. So they are moving towards each other, and the distance from this one all the way till there is 1,200 kilometers. So we just want to draw a picture so that we can understand what's going on over there. If they took off at the same time, so when jet 1 and jet 2 they take off at the same time with their respective speeds, how long will it take for the jets to pass each other? So what we have to understand is that at some point they will reach a point whereby they are passing each other. Obviously jet 2 will travel a bigger distance than jet 1 because it's traveling faster before they pass each other. So what I could say is that I do not know the distance. Remember, you must find a variable. I do not know the distance that jet 1 will travel up till they pass each other, so I'll call that X. Then I also do not know what the distance that jet 2 would travel, so I'm going to call that 1,200 minus x, because if I knew this distance, I'll subtract it from, remember they were 1,200 kilometers apart. So if Jet1 travels some distance, whatever distance is left is going to belong to Jet2, so that they're going to pass each other there. So that's why I said 1,200 minus x. That's how far J2 will have to travel for them to pass each other at this point. And their times are both t, because I also don't know the time, but they will be the same. So tt. Right. So let's formulate an equation for Jet1. So I will say that speed is equals to distance over time for Jet1. So for Jet1, we know the speed is 250, while the distance is unknown x, and the time is also unknown t. Let's formulate an equation for Jet2. So for J2, I'll say speed is equals to distance over time, while this is 350 equals to the distance is 1,200 minus x, while the time is going to be t as well. So now I have two equations with two variables, the x and the x and the t. I can solve for this simultaneously by making one of them the subject of the formula. So I'll use this one. This become, if I take the t over to the other side, remember the t is dividing the x on the other side, it will multiply. So I have 250 t is equal to x, and I'll call that equation 1. Let's call this equation 2. Now what I want to do is actually sub 1 into 2. So we're solving for these simultaneously. And I'll just substitute well, instead of rewriting it, I will just take the t to the side because I'm going to run out of space. So let's make 350 t is equals to 1,200 minus x. Okay, let's put the x there, okay? But in the place of x, we want to substitute 250t. So we're going to have 350t is equals to 1,200 minus 250t. Now we're going to take the t's over to the one side. So I'll take it to this side, and 350 minus 250 will be 100. T equals to 1,200. Divide by 100 on both sides. We know that t will be 12. And we look at the speed was in hours there, kilometers per hour. So this will be 12 hours as our final answer. Question number 2, they say Zweli Banzi as well as Jessica are friends. Zweli Banzi takes Jessica's civil technology test paper, and will not tell her her mark. He knows that Jessica dislikes word problems, so he decides to tease her. Zweli Banzi says, I have 12 marks more than you. So over here already we have Zweli and we already have Jessica. I don't know how many marks Jessica has, but I know that Zweli will have Jessica's marks, but with 12 more. So that means that I need to add 12 to whatever Jessica got to understand how much Zweli has for his marks. And he also says, and the sum of both our marks is 148. So that means that I have to take Zweli's marks, which is x plus 12, and I need to add it with x to give us 148. So this is exactly like the example I gave you in the beginning, that you're going to make your unknown, and then you're going to write the other information in terms of your x, and then you're going to find out how they relate, and boom, we have an equation now. So let's solve for this. We're going to have 12x is equals to 136 when you take the 12 to the other side, and we have to divide on both sides by 2, and that's going to give us 68. So yes, so that's going to be 68. That's Jessica's mark. Jessica got 68, but then so let's write down Zweli will have 68 plus 12, which is equals to 80, while Jessica will have 68. Right, let's move over to question 3. They say the Kadesh bought 20 shirts at a total cost of 980. If the large shirts, okay, if the large shirts cost 50 rands and the small shirts cost 40 rands, how many of each size did he buy? So what we don't know is obviously how many shirts were bought. So I don't know how many large shirts he bought. So let me call that X. I don't know how many small shirts he bought. So I'm going to call that Y. I don't know those amounts. But I do know how they relate with each other. I know the amounts of large shirts, the sum of the large shirts and the small size shirts will be 20 because he bought 20 shirts, right? But I also know that if the large shirts cost 50 rands, and depending on how many he bought, I'll just times it by the amount, which is X, right? And the small shirts, they cost 40 rands, and I don't know how many he bought, but we know he bought Y amount. So if I were to take the 50 times the X plus it with the 40 times the Y, I would find a total price of 980, because that's how much the large shirts and the small shirts cost. So now I have two equations we can solve simultaneously. I prefer to use substitution here as well, so I'm just going to take the X to the other side. So therefore I have Y equals to 20 minus X, and I'll make this equation 1, we'll make this equation 2, and we'll tell them that we want to substitute 1 into 2. Then I'll have 50x plus 40. Where there's a y, I will go ahead and just substitute 20 minus x. And I'm skipping a step there. So 980 equals to 980. Then we solve for x. So 40 times, so 4 times 2 is 8, and we add those two zeros, and we're going to get minus 40x equals to 980. Therefore, these are the like terms here. They're going to give us 10x. Then the 800 is going to go over to the other side. We're going to get 180. And then we have to just cancel out, divide by 10 on both sides. So we get 18. So remember, the X was for the large shirts. So there were 18 large shirts that he bought. As well as now we have to substitute this. So we're going to say substitute this, the X equals to 18 in equation 1, where equation 1 says y is equals to 20 minus 18, where there's the X. Now I put the 18, and I find that he bought 2. So we'll tell them 18 large, and so therefore bought 18 large and 2 small shirts. You can also conclude like this way for all the other questions here. That's actually preferred. And then number 4, we have a group of friends is buying lunch. Here are some facts about their lunch. A milkshake will cost 7 rands more than a wrapper. So this is a basic a statement whereby we know, if you only knew how much the wrapper cost, you'll know how much the milkshake costs. So I have a situation whereby the wrapper, I don't know how much it costs, but I know that the milkshake will cost the same as the wrapper, but 7 rands extra. Now this also tells us that the group will buy 8 of these milkshakes and 2 wrappers. The total cost will be 326. So they will buy how many milkshakes? 8 milkshakes, and we know how much each milkshake costs. That's x plus 7. When you add that with the price or the cost of the wraps, which they bought 2 wrappers, and each wrapper costs x amount, that gives us 326. So we just have a simple linear equation, and we're going to solve for this simply. All right, so we have 326. Then we add these, they're going to give us 10x. So let's see. if the calculator can quickly help us to work out 326 minus 56. That's 270, and I agree with that, as we're gonna cancel out to find out that a wrap is going to cost 27 rands. So it costs 27 rands. So they say determine the individual prices for each lunch item. So that's the wrap, it costs 27 rands, while the milkshake. So I'm gonna conclude here that the wrap costs 27 rands and the milk shake will cost, well, let's say 27 plus 7, and that's gonna give us, well, 33. So that's 34 rands. Number 5, they say 4 times a number is increased by 6. Well, we can formulate the equation. We have 4 times a number, so 4 multiply a certain number, which is x, is increased by 6. The result is 15 less than the 15 less than the square of the number. So the square of the number will be x squared, and then 15 less will be minus 15. We have to find the number. So here we have a quadratic equation. Take all these terms to the right hand side. We know how to solve a quadratic equation. So minus 4x, then I have a minus 15 minus 6. So let's just find our standard form properly there. So minus 15 minus 6, I get minus 21. I get minus 21 over there. Right, so therefore that means that I can factorize this to 2 brackets because it's a trinomial. I have an x, I have an x, I need a minus and a plus. I think it will be a 7 and a 3. 7 times 3 is 21. When they subtract, they will give you minus 4. Right, so that's what we have, guys, over there. So that means that x could be positive 7 or x could be negative 3. And obviously, let's see if they did give us a restriction here. All right, so maybe we want to test out. We want to test this out to see which will actually, but both of them will actually give us the right answer. 4 times 7 is 28 plus 6 is going to give us 34. And 7 squared is 49 minus 15 is 9. And I'm left with yeah, both of them are going to work out. All right, so let's move over to the next question. Say find the number, will be both of them. But you know what, let me just make sure and just check these before I move on. I'm pretty sure 3 squared is 9 minus 15. That's gonna give us minus 6. On the other side, I'm gonna get 4 times minus 3 plus 6, and I'm gonna get minus 6. Okay, both of them are going to give us the correct answer. Let's move over here to say Stefan has 1 liter of a mixture containing 69% of salt. So you have a container and it is 1 liter and 69% of it will be the salt, which is actually an amount of 0.69 liters. How much water must Stefan add to make the mixture 50% salt? So now you don't want 0.6, you don't want 69%, you want 50% salt. So basically, if you add water, you'll be diluting it, but the amount of salt that is in the mixture will stay the same. So basically, at the end, you'll have whatever amount, because this will change, right? The liters will change if you pour more water in here, it will change. So it will become an X amount, but we know that of this X amount, 50% of it will be salt. So 50% of X will be salt. So that means that that's 0.5 times this X will be salt. Now we can just equate these together because the salt amount doesn't change. So we're going to have 0.69 equals to 0.5 to, we're going to work out how many liters do we have now at the end. So I solve for X here by dividing by 0.5 on the other side, and let's see. So we have 0.9669 over 0.5, and that gives us 1.38. So that's the total size of the mixture, right? So how much water must be added? That will be 1.38 minus 1, right, from the initial size of the mixture. So that means you must add 0.38 liters of water. They say write your answer as a fraction of a liter. So we have to write our answer as a fraction of a liter. So that means that we just have to convert this to a fraction. You can just use a calculator for this. So put 0.338, and that gives us 19 over 50 of water. So they want it as a fraction, okay? So liters. Right. So let's do the last question here, whereby the askers, they say a shop owner buys 40 sacks of rice and mealie meal worth 5,250. So 40 sacks of rice and mealie meal and mealie meal worth this much. So they cost that much in total. So the rice and the meal. So if the rice costs 150 per sack, right? So we have the rice and we got the mealie over here. So in total, again, we bought the rice and the mealie meal. When you add the quantities, they should give you 40 sacks, right? And they give you the price again. How many sacks of mealie meal did he buy? So this is exactly like question number, let me see if I'll remember. Not this question, not question 2. It's exactly like this question 3 here. You're gonna solve it with the same concept there. So what we will do is we'll say we don't know how many rice he bought. We don't know how many mealie meal he bought, the sacks, right? But we know that if I add the sacks of the rice with the mealie meal, I should get 40. Then we go again over here. We say, well, the rice is gonna cost 150 for one sack. So if you bought X amount, then it's 150 times X. And then for the mealie meal, it's gonna cost 100 Rand for a sack. So if you bought Y amount, so that's 100 Rand times Y. So 150 X plus 100 Y should give us 5,250 in total. So that's the price. So now we solve. Therefore, we have Y is equals to 40 minus X. So that's equation 1. Equation 2. Let's solve these simultaneously. I will skip a few more steps here. I will say 150x plus 100. And then I substitute the 40 minus x is equals to 5250. So let's just skip a few steps there. So we have 150x plus 4000 minus 100 x's equals to 5250. Then let's subtract the x's. They're gonna give us 50 x's is equals to 1250, right? So 4000 minus that will give us that. Then we have to divide by 50 on both sides. So x is going to be 550 is 25. Should give us 25, but let's see. So 125, 50, let's divide that by 50 is 25. Right, so that's 25 sacks of rice, while there is going to be 40 minus 25, and that's going to give us 15. Let's see, minus 25, that's 15. So we tell them for the rice, they are 25 sacks, and for the mielie meal, there are 15 sacks. That's it for this video, guys. Word problems are a problem, but you just have to practice a lot of them so that you are a lot more comfortable with them. I will see you in the next video.